Welcome back to College Breakdown. I'm your host Tyler Beaman, and I'm once again joined by Finn Larch. Thank you for joining me.
Great to be here.
We're going to start off talking about one of the oddest situations in college football. Brian Kelly is suing LSU for over a $54 million buyout after LSU claimed that they fired Brian Kelly with cause.
Well, looking at this, looking at their schedule, I can definitely see what the cause would be. You come in ranked preseason top 5, and wow, this is a bad season. Looking at this, major dropped losses to Alabama, Texas A&M, Vanderbilt, Ole Miss. Like, wow, they really have not won any major games in a while. And I think that's gotta be a reason for you to get fired from your job.
The story, however, goes deeper than that. So, when Brian Kelly was fired, there was no. They just terminated his contract. But his buyout is $54 million. And it's obvious that LSU doesn't want to pay it.
Yeah.
And so now they're saying he was never officially fired. They never officially fired him. So now they want to, I guess, re-fire him with cause this time so they don't have to pay his buyout. What do you think about that on LSU's end?
Well, I think that the buyout system as a whole is just kind of dumb. I think that if you fire someone, they deserve to be fired. They know the risk that they're signing into by being a college football coach. And they're making a lot of money already. Like, that's salary. They don't need $54 million on top of it. But I do think that they have a cause to fire him. That's the main thing. But what you're saying is completely true. I do think that Brian Kelly has a reason at least to file a suit if they're firing him for what you said without cause and not paying him his buyout. If they're not trying to pay you their buyout, which they're legally obligated to pay him, he should be able to file a lawsuit against that if they're not going to pay him. If they're going to pay him, then I think he just takes the money and goes. No more need for any further trouble.
I 100% agree. Everything LSU's doing here makes you wonder, does anybody really want to go coach there after this? Like, no big name coach, I feel like, is willing to risk what's happening to Brian Kelly if they don't perform to LSU's expectations. Do you think that they're still going to be able to get a premium head coach candidate, or do you think that they're going to shy away from this over this lawsuit?
I have a feeling that they're going to try to go for someone who's been coaching really well at the MAC level, American Conference, or some other mid-major. But they definitely have a shot to get like a really like big tier, Big Ten coach, ACC, any Power 4 school. And that's just because they got history at LSU. They're historically known as a really good program. They could find talent pretty easily because of where they're located and all the, I guess, accommodations that they have with their school. They're a good program, and I think they'll be able to find somebody. It's just they might have to settle for lower given what their season looks like right now.
I think that there's no chance that a big name coach, is going to be willing to go there after what's happening with Brian Kelly. It's just a strange situation. Something like this hasn't happened before. And in the age of college football, with the buyout system, Brian Kelly wouldn't have to coach again if he gets his buyout.
Oh, not at all. And how long are they taking to pay it out?
I'm not sure on that. They're probably going to pay it out over the next few years, if I had to guess.
That's incredible. He's making money just by living. Every second he gets paid a bit. And James Franklin, when he got his buyout, he was getting paid a quarter, basically a minute for the next 7 years. That's incredible.
That's insane.
That's so much money. You're making like a couple $1,000s a day just by living your life.
Something else interesting that's come out of this is LSU's former coach, Ed Orgeron, who won the national championship with them, is interested in coming back to LSU after all this time. And there was some stuff why he was fired, like non-football related. Do you think that he is a possibility to come back to the program?
Honestly, when he first got fired, I had no idea really why. I think that if you bring a team to the national championship and then you fire them, was it 3 years later?
I think it was 2 years later.
Yeah, you got to give him a bit more than that. If he's able to get you a Joe Burrow, Heisman winner, playing great in the NFL, and a national title. I mean, you should keep that coach. And I definitely think it's at least worth revisiting, see what he really wants from the program, see what he could do for the program. Because he's played college ball before. He's pretty much as close as you can get, really, to having the SEC experience at LSU since he coached there just like a few years ago. So I think that's something that they could do. I don't think they'll do it, but I think that you should at least look into that as an LSU administration.
I 100% agree. Even if you just sign him for 3 years to start rebuilding the team from where they are now, I think that would be a good investment on LSU's behalf purely for the coaching aspect. All right, now for the college football playoff poll. The top 10 are pretty similar to last week. Ohio State still number 1. Shout out Ohio State alum Emeka Egbuka for helping me to be number 1 in my fantasy league. Indiana at 2, A&M at 3, Bama at 4, Georgia at 5, Texas Tech at 6, Ole Miss at 7, Oregon at 8, Notre Dame at 9, and Texas at 10.
Ooh, Texas got back into this?
I
How did that happen?
I don't know how they're in the top 10 and BYU after losing to number 6 Texas Tech.
Oh, BYU's not in there?
They dropped out of the top 10.
Ooh, I think BYU's got to at least get a spot. I think that they're going to end up getting an at-large bid if they win out their season. I mean, having one loss, they deserve to get in my opinion, over teams like Notre Dame. I feel like they've lost so many games at this point. They've lost 2 big ones at the beginning of the season. Texas, I feel like doesn't deserve it as much as them. I say you just give BYU a chance, get them an at-large bid if they don't end up winning the Big 12.
Last I saw, BYU and Oklahoma were the first 2 out of the college football playoff, which I don't know how BYU isn't in right now. I also don't know how Texas, Notre Dame, Oklahoma, Utah, Vanderbilt, and Miami are all ranked above Georgia Tech. Georgia Tech is a 1-loss team, and there are so many 2-loss teams ranked ahead of them. What do you think about that?
Georgia Tech, I'm not sure who they're lost to, but I think it was an upset at least. I know Georgia Tech has played amazing this season. I know their head coach is in position for the Auburn job maybe, but Georgia Tech really has shown up this season. They're 8-1, 16th ranked, which I think is way too high for them. I'd say you put them a lot lower at somewhere where Texas is right now. I think they deserve to be in that top 10. And I do think that they'll win the ACC and they'll be able to claim that bid. But I think it's not fair to Georgia Tech to have them ranked that low.
I agree. Texas, one of their losses is to the number 1 team in the country in Ohio State. But a 2-loss team should never be ranked above a 1-loss team, especially when that 1-loss team is in position to win their conference.
Mm-hmm.
Something else about this college football playoff poll, we have 2 teams with 3 losses with Iowa and Tennessee. They're both 6-3, and there are so many 2-loss teams in the country that aren't ranked. Tennessee hasn't had a quality win all year. Iowa, they've been disappointing once again this year.
They play in the Big Ten as well. I think having Iowa that high does not make any sense. I don't think they've had any really big wins so far, and I think there's plenty of other 7-2 teams that you could put above Iowa. I wouldn't even put them in the college football playoffs or the top 25.
Me either. And then another team that's in here is South Florida at 24. James Madison, in my opinion, should be getting the Group of 5 bid if they win the Sun Belt. I think they're a better team than South Florida. And, I mean, South Florida, when they played competition, they got absolutely crushed by Miami. And when James Madison played Louisville, they kept it close for majority of the game.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them in like playoff contention, but I do think South Florida will get a pretty high bowl game. That's for sure. And I've been on their side this season. They have been like a sleeper team, sleeper pick that I'd get them in there, but they've been proving really well, and I really like what their coach has done with the program. And they're definitely on the rise, and they could be more dominant in the years to come if they hold on to the right people.
And now, finally, our favorite sport, college basketball. Auburn off to a pretty good start this year. 3-0,
Mm-hmm.
scored 90-plus points for the first 3 games of the season, only the second time in program history. How are your feelings about the beginning of this college basketball season for Auburn?
I actually haven't had an opportunity to watch that much Auburn sports. I have a lot of time commitments going on at the same time. But from what I've seen at the end of the Bethune-Cookman game and parts of the Wofford game, Auburn looks pretty good. I think Keyshawn Hall, that's his name. He's looking pretty good this season. I think Tahad is a good leader. And we got a few big guys I think can get in. We have a 7-footer. Isn't that right?
Emeko Purum.
Is he from Europe or something? I feel like that's what you always get from like 7-footers from that area. But either way, I think that that'll be a good team that we'll be able to watch. And I think worst case scenario, that's an 8 seed in the tournament, and I'm okay with that after the rebuilding year that this is going to be.
I agree. We have our roster, once again, is extremely deep. We played, I think, 11 or 10 guys last night against Wofford, all of them getting significant minutes. And our 2 freshmen, Sebastian Williams-Adams and Kata Magwood, are both playing really well to start this year. I think Coach Stephen Pearl, he's going to get this team ready for Houston this Sunday. Playing the number 1 team in the country, your 4th game of the year with a brand new team. What are your outlooks for that game?
That is going to be a tall order to ask Auburn to win that game of a team of mostly first-year players coming to play for Auburn. You really got to have good team chemistry to beat Houston. They're a sound team. They're a really good team. Last year, we ended up getting the win pretty much at Houston. But, yeah, this will be a tough one to win, and I think that we will fall short, but not by much. I think that we'll prove that we can hang in with that, and as the season goes on, I think that we could – I think we're staying in the top 25 the whole season, but I think as the season goes on, we can make a pretty high run in the top 25, maybe even get top 10. And I think we'll end up with a pretty decent seed in the tournament, and if we get the right people, we can make it pretty far.
I agree with you. And I know we're both Auburn fans, but Alabama just had a huge win against St. John's. The SEC this year is going to be an extremely competitive league once again, being front-loaded with Kentucky, Alabama, Arkansas, Auburn, and Florida.
Tennessee as well, yeah.
Where do you think that Auburn finishes in the conference this year?
Well, the problem is everyone in the conference is good, and not just like your average team like in the middle of the road. They're really good, like top 25. There's a lot of SEC teams in there. I think we'll finish with about a 50% record from the games. We'll lose some, we'll win some, but it'll even itself out. And asking us to win as many games as we did last year is a tall order. Break 30 wins, and that's a lot of SEC games that we're going to play against a lot of really good teams. And I think we will win some big ones, and we'll lose some that we're not supposed to. But I think we will finish about a 50% record from that.
I agree with you. Stephen Pearl's an incredible defensive mind. He's one of the best defensive minds in basketball. So I think our defense is only going to continue to get better. And as the team starts to build even more chemistry, our shots are going to begin to fall. I think this is a dangerous team, not as dangerous as last year, being a 1 seed. But I think we can make a pretty deep run in the tournament this year. But college basketball, it's always competitive, always extremely fun to watch. Well, that's going to be it for this week's College Breakdown. Thank you, Finn, for joining me.
Thank you.
I'm your host, Tyler Beaman. Go Cardinals and War Eagle.
War Eagle.